have everyone. Might get some more stragglers coming in. Thank you all for coming. My name is Luke. I'm going to be helping transition through the different segments of our service today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam's brother. And yeah, to be honest, I haven't been doing that well. I don't love my grieving process, how disassociated I become to protect my feelings and feel in control. And I feel deeply and consequentially in that I am Sam's brother. I care a lot about so many things, and pain is at the other end of that seesaw, and in that I am Sam's brother. I am obsessed, I am curious, I am goofy, and I so deeply and badly want to be a good person. I am Sam's brother. He shares half of my name, I share a fourth of his. And I don't have a choice in that, but even if I did, I would keep it. Today, you're going to hear a lot of stories, a lot of reflections, and a lot of music. I implore you to get comfortable and befriend your seatmates, because like any conversation you've had with Sam, we are not valuing brevity at this time. Oh, and please silence your phones if you haven't already. As we proceed, I just want to encourage you all to feel what you're feeling. This is not an expressly religious service, so we just ask the spirit of reverence and be in tune with how you're feeling. If you're happy, be happy. If you're sad, be sad. If you want to clap after someone speaks, please do. If you want to cry, please cry. Sam would want you to come as you are and leave pretense at the door. Thank you for joining us today, for celebrating what was, grieving what is, and helplessly longing for what might have been. It's a tough day, so thank you all for coming and sharing this hard space with us. First, we have a memorial video lovingly put together by our father, Brian. The music Sam wrote. A lot of the music you'll hear today, Sam wrote. And we hired some professionals to put it together, and it's very special. So just give me a second to set it up, and we'll get going. Specifically, the music is a string sextet that Sam wrote. Enjoy.
If we could all just take a moment of silence, and everyone think of Sam as it suits them, and then we'll say the Lord's Prayer. Thank you. In our church, as we say the Lord's Prayer, we say, as in heaven, so upon the earth, instead of on earth as it is in heaven. So if everything gets muddled in that part, that's perfectly fine. But that's how I'm used to it, so anyway. We could say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Nancy, would you be sort of kind of give us a B, just a B? Is that what we usually do?
B below middle C.
Our next.
Stay right there. Okay.
All right, David family.
His
Thank you. It's a family favorite. Next, we have Corey, brother of Sam, giving a talk.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. We're here today to celebrate the life of a beloved brother, son, nephew, and grandson, but also a beloved friend, a wonderful musician. As you guys heard, that string sextet. You know, we had that done over the last couple of weeks by a professional who initially was kind of like, oh, okay, something that a high schooler wrote, no problem. Well, it took them longer than they thought it was going to take because it was a lot more complicated than they thought it was going to be. And we got it back, and it really hit us because we were hearing Sam's music the way he heard it in his mind when he wrote it, which we've had pieces of his done by, you know, his classmates, and that's wonderful. But when you're an artist, even the best professionals can't match what you are putting down. And that was really meaningful to us. And that is something that we're going to take with us. We've talked about maybe getting more of his pieces done that way so we can hear it the way that to the best of their ability to be able to hear it the way he intended for it to be written. And because at the end of the day, aside from the love that we will always carry for him and the memories that we have, the one thing that lives on is his music, and that is something that he would want everybody to hear. And I am making that a goal of mine to make sure that his pieces are done and that we will someday maybe be able to release them to the world. Now, the circumstances of how we got here are difficult, to say the least, to be able to try and contemplate how do you celebrate that, you know? We're celebrating his life, we're not celebrating his death. And the thing is, you know, Sam and I, of all the siblings, I felt that I dealt with a lot of similar issues that Sam suffered internally. The obsession with perfection and not being able to handle it at times when it didn't match what he wanted. Anything, whether it was writing a piece or playing a piece or anything for that matter. I struggle with that, you know. And people who've known me for a long time know I aspire to be a writer, and yet I've never written anything that's published or that's been shared with anybody because it's never good enough for me to share with others. And the thing with Sam is that he still shared, even though it wasn't perfect, because Sam was a lot less fearless than he was more fearless than I am. He had this ability to be able to say, well, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And that is something that I admire about him, and that's something that I need to take with me in my life, something I need to apply to my life. And that is how I will honor Sam until my dying breath, is trying to be more fearless and all the other things about him as well. The kindness, despite the things that were going on within him. He was so kind and loving and giving to people. And that is something I'll strive to do as well in my life. That is the thing that we all can take from Sam moving forward, is how do we allow the things that we admired about him, how do we take those things in our lives and apply it? How do we do that? That's up to every one of us individually to decide. And that is how he would want it to be, because Sam was someone who would buck the way things are supposed to be done. He would do it his way. And so he would want nothing more than for everybody here to go on their paths moving forward, moved by him in individual ways, our own ways. Not a way he wanted us to be moved, how you were moved just genuinely from the heart. So, thank you. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Corey. Next, we're going to have a piece of piano music performed by our pianist, Nancy, written by Sam. This is Prelude in C# minor. Whenever you're ready, Nancy. Some more music performed by Macy. Where Macy is. Macy, you're speaking. Come.
Hello, I'm Macy Capel. I'm one of Sam's friends. Sam brought a light that no one else had. He was always down to hang out. I remember we were going to spend time together and meet at my church. I said, "Hey Sam, we can we can go meet at my church. I had to sing that day, and I think it's in the middle for us. I'm not very good with directions. He said, I get to go to a black church, is that what I'm hearing? I said, yeah, but don't go with that. He said, well, what do I call it then? Evangelical Baptist Church for People of Color. I couldn't stop. He was also a great prom date. He made sure he had his stuff and we matched. And on the day of prom, I was so happy to see him in his outfit. He looked so nice and his shoes were sharp, as my mom would say. We practiced our spin for the stage a lot before we got on. He would ask me if we could practice it or which hand. We even got to sit by each other at graduation, and he also helped me when I needed it in Songwriting Club. Even when I was at Berkeley this summer, there were times I would say, Sam would like this. I know Berkeley will miss his amazing talent and his personality. We will too, along with all of his family and friends. Rest easy, Sam. I know you are meeting all of the great composers, and now you get to shine there too. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have another piano song by Nancy, written by Sam. This one is Prelude in E major. Thank you. Dr. Nancy J. DeSalvo is the head of piano. Sorry, your title is?
That's correct.
Yes, here at Westminster. Thank you so much for donating your time for this. We really appreciate it. Now we have Matty, brother of Sam.
Yeah, ominous indeed. On behalf of my family, I want to extend our gratitude and appreciation for your presence here today as we, as Corey said, celebrate Sam's life. I, for the most part, am going to be sharing some of my own experiences, reflections, and memories, and the love that I had for my brother. And I understand that there are some here that didn't know him too well, or you have heard stories vicariously through our family, or some of you just haven't really seen him in a long time, and that's okay. That's, the love and the care and the support that you have shown this family. It means more than you could ever imagine. Well, today our gathering warrants sadness. I'm hoping that from the music that you guys have heard or the work that Sam has left us, it can bring an understanding of one's gifts for the world and how they impact that person, not just for themselves internally, but for everyone else. I spoke with a few members of the family about this celebration in many ways, and created, as we grew closer to today, more of a sense of anxiety the closer we got to it. It's like as each day grew closer to today, the realism surrounding his loss, it almost seemed surreal. Hannah, you and I shared a phone call a couple weeks, after we lost him, and you go about your daily mundane tasks, and it's a distraction for a while, and then all of a sudden, you feel like you're forgetting something, is I think how you put it, and then you're done with that task, and then it just hits the forefront of your mind. And it's just because of the grief that will never leave. Many conflicting emotions have come across me individually over the past month, sometimes separately, other times they come like an 18-wheeler hitting you all at once. Oftentimes it's anger, it's confusion, internalized even guilt or blame. But for most of you, different emotions may affect you individually as well. I encourage you all, however, to just take a moment. Examine the emotions that you're feeling today, or how you felt 2 weeks ago, or in the anticipatory feeling of tomorrow or a week. And understand that no matter how you felt a month ago or today, they're all stem from the reality of which Sam was here and how we felt about him and how we loved him. That reality existing with the one that also coexists with him not being here, and we don't know which is which. But he's gone, and we have to pick up the pieces. Mom, we talked about that last night, how we're left to pick up those pieces. And for many of us, including myself, how I have felt at any given moment usually correlates with me wanting to believe that those two realities can exist peacefully, but for now, they don't. While we can all try to grasp our emotions differently, heartbreak, confusion, disbelief, they all obviously center around Sam and the different relationships we had with him and the stories you may have heard from us as a family. And we all saw Sam in different capacities. We saw him as a caring and very loving and extremely empathetic person. That was one of the profound qualities of my brother, was he felt what you felt no matter what. And he was in that light, he was compassionate and dedicated. He was extremely hilarious, yet at the same time he was openly reserved, very quiet. And he was a good listener. Mom and Brian might disagree with that at times, but I'm sure his friends that he made at Lincoln Park in Westminster, they could totally attest to that sentiment. Those are all qualities that defined his beautiful soul, regardless of how he might have viewed himself or what he saw in the mirror. But we as a family saw these amazing qualities displayed for over 18 years. But again, those of you who grew bonds with him at Lincoln Park, the Youngstown Symphony, and even his time here at Westminster as a student, I'm extremely grateful for the time that you got to spend with him and the reciprocal time that you gave to him. I don't think that can be overstated enough. He struggled early in his childhood to find his niche, per se, and despite that love for music always existing, our family has always had a shared musical inclination, and you all contributed to him following his dreams physically through his friendships and his passions, those shared passions that you guys have with him. What is the most painful to imagine are the what-ifs of his life that could have come to fruition. His future in musical composition, his graduation here from college, whether it be here or the Boston Conservatory. Continued bonds of friendship, family, and love. One that constantly runs through my head is, would he have gotten married? And you know, Brian, you said it, the remembrance service that was held here at Westminster that Wednesday, that he was quirky and that he was weird, which he was, oftentimes. I'm sure we could all agree on that, but that was a quality that we all loved about him, because despite that awkwardness, I continuously see visions. You know, he always came in for like this half hug, and I always had to buck him up and say, put your shoulders straight, put your shoulders into it. But that's what I mean by that quirkiness and awkwardness. For myself individually, though, I try not to dwell too much into those what-ifs as much, because they are too incomprehensible, too painful, and unpredictable. We all know the potential he had, and we know the type of person that he was. That painting in our heads of Sam is based on the love and the memories that we share and have with him. Embrace those reflections. Look through photos and videos that you have of him. Look through the performances. You know, we're going to see one today, Elegy, that he dedicated to two people that he lost last year, and he wrote it for them. Try to reflect on the time that he made you laugh, and maybe vice versa, that you made him laugh. Try to reflect on the times Those are all we're left with. Our memories, moments we've shared with him. And the painting of a fruitful past can speak even a modicum of happiness compared to an abstract, unforeseen future. Now, as his brother, here are some of my own sparks internally. Him and Kayla would always have this shared laugh. Anytime we came over to the house, or if Mom and Brian brought Sam with them, they would always be sitting together at one point, and they would start laughing. And we never knew what the heck it was. What are you guys laughing at? And they'd be, oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Don't worry about it. Well, it came that after we lost him, she shared with me, and I want to share with you that it turns out that they were laughing at my neck, because turns out my whole life, I've either had too much neck or not enough. So they were always poking fun at my neck. And another photo that was in there was, me and Sam playing instruments together. I wasn't playing, I was just goofing off completely. And Sam had to, be the perfectionist and try to actually show me how to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking pointers. It was just us having a good time together. Any time spent visiting with you guys and you guys bringing him, we had that, close where you guys could be with Mason and Vince, and Sam shared that time with you guys. His grad party was another one this summer. The time that you guys came over and got to spend time at the pool, it was kind of like a last hurrah for the whole family. And little did we know that would be the last time. Some, if not most, of those reflections have been more recent, but being 10 years his senior, I have more deep-rooted ones that are more meaningful to me and that are imprinted upon our memory, my memory in particular. For example, when we were just the blended family before Sam was brought into this world, we used to roughhouse all the time in the green room at Squirrel Hill or in the mill in our living room. And eventually Sam became a part of that where, Mom and Hannah wouldn't join in on that fray, but they would be laughing hysterically in the background at us just being utter goofballs. Doing family worship after Christmas or any other time that it was kind of us on a Sunday if we were all together at the end of the night, and Sam would get in the middle for a big group hug we used to do. Christmas tree hunting at Rogers Tree Farm and hanging snowflakes in our living room. Another one that was profound to me was him singing Phantom of the Opera while trick-or-treating, almost as a way to earn his Christmas candy, or trick-or-treat candy rather. And that just comes to show the passion and the love that he had for the performing arts, even at, 4 years old, 3 years old at that time? 3 years old. Do what? Oh, no. Maybe another time. But him, we went on a few family vacations when he was little. One of the ones we went to was Assateague Island in Maryland. And at that time, he was, still not potty trained yet. However, our campsite was behind the dune, and it was all sand, so I don't know whose idea it was, but it was a profound time for him to potty train himself by dig squatting and burying like a cat at our campsite. It was your idea? I'm not surprised. When our grandmother passed away, we spent time playing the piano together as a way to cope that day that she passed at our Douglas house. Mom and Brian letting me hold him for the first time in the hospital. Doing his bedtime routine when you were at some odd job. I didn't know what you were doing at the time, but we would walk him through all the fathead stickers that he had in his room. There was squirrels and trees on it, and we would say goodnight to every single one of them every night. And sometimes I took that reign with Mom. A key component to all of this are sparks of happiness, and unfortunately our family now must seek to find a new normal. There's no time stamp on when that will be, or if that new normal will actually genuinely feel natural, because we know it won't. All I ask from family and friends alike is to constantly find those sparks for yourself of happiness and how it can hopefully get you through this process. In the words of Coach Ted Lasso, which is a show that our family all mutually loves and adores, he says, taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while doing it, then you're probably doing it wrong. But that's the thing about grief, is that there's not anything necessarily comfortable about it. Even when those happy thoughts and memories cross your mind, sometimes it still doesn't feel like it's enough. For me, I'm always reminded that for my children, for Anna, for your kids, the relationship with their uncle only grows through memory. No new ones. And we have to constantly remind them how gifted he was, but how kind and empathetic, a sweet person he was. That's how their relationship grows with them, or with their uncle, and that's uncomfortable. We will always have an empty chair or a Christmas candy exchange every year. That's uncomfortable. And we can no longer actively hear him playing his music except through video and through memory. That's uncomfortable. And though we are all left to take on this challenge together, there is absolutely no right or wrong way to grieve. In knowing that, though, hopefully, we can rather seek comfort while simultaneously acknowledging that we know that we'll probably never find it fully. Anyway, thank you. And I appreciate your time and for you guys coming. Thank you.
next we have a piece of music by Sean. Sean, if you want to come up and get set up, we're ready for you. Just bear with us.
Just want to clarify that this performance is going to be by Sean Hockle, who was a classmate of Sam's at Lincoln Park and also now at Westminster. And he's an addition to the program. He had wanted to perform and then wasn't sure whether he'd be able to be here. So he said, yes, we will absolutely get you in the program. So Sean, thank you.
Me and Sam met when we were in 7th grade, when we both went to Lincoln Park. And like we kind of became best friends immediately. And we always hung out, we fell in love with music, so that was a common interest that we had. And then we were cool throughout high school, we both kind of did our own thing, but we were still cool. And he really was just the most genuine soul. And he always knew how to light up a room and having this infectious smile and laugh that just made you just feel good and happy. And once we both came here, like first day, we hung out pretty much all day, like during orientation and all that, and just making jokes and being stupid. And then I found out like where he was staying in Shaw with me down the hall, so it was perfect because he's right there, and we just always hang out and play pool late at night and stuff like that, and nerd out over jazz and listen to Spotify and stuff like that. But yeah, it's gonna be missing. I'm sure like everyone here. But I think that's all I have to say. This is Changes by Ozzy.
each day. In love together, found a way to the world and its evil way. My heart was flooded, love went astray. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes. Oh, in my life.
That was beautiful, thank you. Our next speaker, I'm told, is Bryson. Bryson, if you're feeling up for it, we're ready for you whenever. No pressure.
So I'm Bryson. I met Sam during House of Pop. He was in the band and I was one of the singers. I first became friends with Billy and Maggie and met him through them. And then a few weeks later, Sam was my +1 to a Valentine's Day party. A few weeks after that, he would come home with me on the bus, and that kind of just became the normal. Every waking moment would either be spent with him, or talking to him, or talking about him. And I remember one day, I was at his house, and we were watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is one of my favorite movies. And in the movie, arguably one of my favorite classical pieces, Clair de Lune, is used as a running motif for love. And after, I just ended up crying, and he held me until I stopped. And a running thing I've noticed with everyone speaking tonight is how empathetic Sam was. And I never realized until then how much that meant to me. Thank you.
We're at the point in the ceremony where we are opening the floor for anyone, if they have a memory to share, a story to tell, a reflection to give. If anyone feels called to share, now's a great time to come up, introduce yourself, and say a little piece. So I'll just give a little bit of silence in case anyone wants to do that. And if not, no worries, we will continue moving forward with the program. Thank you. This is my Aunt Susan.
Thank you, Luke. So yes, I'm Sam's aunt. I'm Brian's sister and Rachel's sister-in-law, which I'm very grateful. Our mother and our father, I'm getting choked up, are with us in person today. I'm sure our mother's here in spirit. And our father was not able to make the trip. He lives in Indiana. And the last time I saw Sam was in Indiana. You three came out to visit Grandpa, Dad, and Sam was maybe 16, I don't know quite how many years ago, and a bit awkward and quirky, and we hadn't seen him for quite a while. We typically saw him once a year at our family reunion, but that had ended with the pandemic. And I remember I was busy making dinner, and we had a house full, and I was sort of running around as I do on those occasions and most other times as well, trying to make everybody do what I wanted. And Sam tried to make conversation very sweetly. And I remember feeling impatient and just not quite knowing what to do with this awkward 16-year-old boy, because I had a dinner table to set and things like that. And Corey, you asked about what lessons we learned from Sam. And I now know that I should have taken the time. And I regret that I didn't know him better and experienced his sweetness in the way all of you have. And it has been strange these past weeks to go about our lives. I look at my children and my husband, and we've all gone on our daily lives virtually without interruption. And that doesn't feel right, but there's little else we can do. And so my lesson from Sam is to, at every moment, take the time to appreciate the people who are in front of me. And to just value them, even if they are awkward 16-year-old boys. And I'm busy, that doesn't matter. What matters is to take a moment and just bear witness to the people who are with us. And I just think about Mom and Dad and how much they loved him as well in all of this, and how good my mother was at bearing witness to the people who were in front of her at all times. I can feel her here with us and with Sam. And I'll stop now.
I am Brian's other sister, Julie, and Sam's aunt. So I have an anecdote and then a serious thing to say. The anecdote is about my parents having us all come to a church conference center the week between Christmas and New Year's every year for a family reunion. It was one of the best gifts they ever gave. Was this chance for all of us to spend time with our siblings and their spouses, and for the grandchildren, the cousins, to get to know each other. And because they met for 3 or 4 days every year, they all know each other well now and get together at weddings and, unfortunately, sometimes memorial services. That's where this whole crowd comes from. One year at the family reunion, Sam was maybe 10, and he wanted to have a Nerf gun battle with me. Not Indiana, just me. So he and I were doing Nerf gun battle all through the living room and kitchen of the place that we stayed, and it was hysterically funny. I don't know why I was the one chosen to be the honored one who got to play with Sam, but it was really fun. And then a bunch of the other kids came and started picking up the Nerf darts and throwing them at each other, and it became a general thing. but his joy in living and his appreciation of other people was something he had from very early on. The more serious thing that I want to say is, I think Sam might have changed his mind about what was essential to do at the moment if he had known how much hurt it would cause other people. He may have felt a denial that there's anything good in life and that he had to leave it. But I wish that there had been some way for somebody to say to him, choose differently, find help, don't kill yourself. It hurts everybody. And if I had known, I wish I had been the person that said, Sam, come talk to me. Sam, talk to a professional. Sam, let's get you help. Let's help you think about this differently. And that the Lord might have been able to work with him in some way to make this different than what it is. So if you're out there thinking that there's no good in life and you're depressed and you're in such pain, just stop for a minute and think. You don't want to make your family feel the way Brian and Rachel are feeling all alone since this happened. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I am Dan Uber. I am Julie's son, Sam's cousin, and now I understand why my mom has such good aim at Nerf battles. I had a feeling that there might be an open mic session today, and last night I was sitting at my kitchen table, having just got off second shift, so it was 2 in the morning. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say. What would mean something? What can I provide that wonderful people right here in the front row who know Sam far better than I do, or ever will, would be saying? And I realized I was looking back at all the memories I have of Sam, of the family reunions that have been mentioned before, of going up to the mill, playing football in the side yard, enjoying just listening to the waterfall. And I realized I'm looking back. In general, I'm looking back. There's a concept in the faith that I was raised in, known as divine providence. And one of the facets of divine providence is that you can only see it after the fact. You don't recognize it when it's happening, because it's so well made, so intrinsic. It's only after that you go, oh, there's the Lord's work, right there. And it's a way to see the firmament between the natural and the spiritual world, between our bodies and our souls. You see that barrier fade just a little, and the two worlds connect. For me, with Sam, that moment happened in 2017. It was the first time that I brought my then girlfriend, now wife, to our family reunion. And it was within 5 minutes of walking in the door that first night, Sam came up, gave me a hug, saw this new unknown person, stuck out his hand, introduced himself, very polite. And then as my wife stepped away to meet other people, he turned and looked at me. Didn't say a word, but he held my gaze for probably 5-7 seconds and nodded. once. Nothing else. I didn't ask him what he was indicating. I didn't ask if he was okay. Didn't check. Oh, very much so. That was him telling me that I overachieved there. And boy, did I. She's wonderful. But for me, looking back, that's a moment where that wasn't Sam's natural self. That was his soul. That was his soul looking my soul dead in the eye and saying, do it. Don't chicken out. And he was right. I didn't know how right he was until years later when I was up the altar. And it's that moment that I've kept coming back to over the last month. He knew before anyone else said anything that I needed to take the plunge. I needed to do it. Thank you. I was the last to know. But for me, that was Sam. And now I'm looking back and I'm seeing that same moment over and over and over in all the memories I have of him. I'm seeing a beautiful soul that found ways through music, through talking with people, through just a gaze and a nod, to drop that barrier between the natural and spiritual world and speak to you soul to soul. I don't think I'm ever going to find someone like that again, because you don't come across those kinds of people very often in your life. And when you do, even if it's looking back and realizing too late to be able to say thank you, you still have that opportunity to remember, to smile, and every so often to look up and just say, thanks, buddy. I love you. Thank you.
Just give me some more time in case. Our next will be Macy, singing this time. I think I'm correct in that. So feel free to come up when you're ready. Thank you, Macy. That was wonderful. All right, Dad. You ready? Come on up.
I've been trying to listen to everything and synthesize it all somehow in my mind, and a lot of what I had thought to say has already been stolen. So I'll just kind of make it up on the fly. First thing I'd like to acknowledge is, my wife, Rachel, and my daughter, Hannah, who both loved Sam fiercely and dearly and are unable to speak because they both said there's no way I could get through saying anything, but I don't want them to be left out. And I offered them both write something and I'll read it, and they're like, it's too much. It's just too much. Hannah said, when I write, it's all goofy and silly and fun. I'm like, it could be goofy and silly and fun. On a more serious note, well, that was serious, I guess, but as Corey talked about, we hired a professional musician to record Sam's string sextet, which was used for the video. And I had a number of conversations with her while she was working on the piece. As Corey alluded to it turned out to be more difficult than she thought it was going to be. But among the things that she said to me was, I feel like I've really gotten to know at least part of Sam's passion through this piece. And she said, someone with so much clear-headed brilliance being gone from this earth is such an indescribable loss. And finally, she said, I want to be very respectful of what Sam would have wanted. I'm so sad he can't hear this. I've had a dozen questions I wish I could ask, so I'm doing my best to get to know him through context. And I think about that, and that is exactly what Sam would want to accomplish in his music. By specifically writing music, you're offering your art to other people so that they can combine it with their art. It's how they are interpreting your words. So every time that music is performed, it's a unique artistic expression. Dr. DeSalvo and I talked about that a little bit ahead of the program. She was like, how would Sam want this? And Luke and I said, I think Sam would want to hear your interpretation of it. And so I think, and that led me to the thought that we featured a lot of Sam's music, and this is probably the biggest Sam David Music Festival that there will ever be. And I'm sad about that because you won't have the chance to build up the kind of notoriety that would lead to celebrations like this. But that makes this a very special time to me. It makes all of you very special to me for being part of it. You know, you've heard more of Sam's own expression of himself than probably anybody ever will. And I really thank you all for that, for being part of that. That was leading me into something else, and now I can't remember what it was. I think the final thing, I want to keep this short because this has gone on quite a while, but we love hearing the anecdotes that people have shared about Sam. We love hearing the goofy stories, the things that make us laugh. We've laughed sitting here, laughed. Rachel's perfected the art of laughing and crying at the same time. It's a great skill to have. We want to hear the stories. I think a lot of people are shy about suicide. There's stigma attached to it, and they think, well, people don't want to hear about it, people don't want to be reminded, but we do want to be reminded. We want to think about Sam every day for the rest of our lives. And if it makes us feel sad, we want to be sad. Carrying that sadness around for the rest of our lives is a way of honoring him. And, you know, we want memories, we want stories, we want everyone to share in that for us in any small way that they can. And then I wanted to respond to my sisters. And one of the things that we've talked about, both ourselves and in therapy, is the difference between guilt and regret. And there are 1,000 things we regret. You know, I picked Sam up to take him to an appointment the morning before he died, and I picked him up at college, and I took him to his appointment, and I took him and dropped him off again. And I don't remember what I said when he got out of the car. I'm sure I said, love you, sweetie, because I always did. And he said, I love you too, I think, because he always did. But I don't specifically remember that. And I think now, what if I taken him to McDonald's and gotten him breakfast and, you know, had a conversation? But you can't know. You can never know ahead of time. So I don't feel guilt about that, like I failed him. I don't think any of you should feel guilt like you failed him. Nobody failed him. He was loved. He was loved by his family. He was loved by his friends. There's so much love pouring out here for him. Everybody loved him, and no one should feel any guilt. If you feel regrets, I totally get that. I wish that I'd had one more conversation. I wish that I'd been there to say something to him when he needed me. That is, we're all going to feel that, but I hope no one feels any level of guilt, because we all loved him as best we could. I was not a perfect father. I could look back on it and say, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd emphasized that, I wish. But we loved him well, and we loved him hard, and we did everything that we could for him. And I think you all can say the same things. And I just really appreciate it from everybody. And that's all I'm going to say, because I want to keep this short. It's been going quite a while, so thank you very much. As an ending, we want to play a piece that Sam wrote last summer. His best friend was killed in an automobile accident, and 6 days later, his piano teacher that he loved dearly was hit by a car and killed. And Sam synthesized that into a piece he wrote for his symphonic band to play at Lincoln Park. It's called Elegy, and we want to play that video for you now, and then we can move on to the talkative parts of this. So this is Elegy by Sam David. Thank you.
Liszt also composed The Planets, perhaps his most famous work. Our next piece, Elegy, was composed for us by senior music major Sam David. Please welcome Sam to the microphone to tell us about his piece.
The summer of 2024 was a long one. It felt almost cursed. In the blink of an eye, 1 week, I lost two of the most important people in my life. My friendship with Emma Bogacki was one which couldn't have come to be in any other way. In short, there were no empty seats on the bus one afternoon in 2022, and Emma happened to be next to me. From there, she seemingly plucked me, an awkward, socially anxious nerd, out of the thin air and declared me her best friend in the whole world. She was the funniest person I've ever met. Never in my life have I laughed so hard or smiled so much. She was the kind of person who just knew instinctively how to entertain. She also happened to be one of the most determined people I've ever met. It occurred to me that in order to be funny, she thought she had to pretend to be dumb. In reality, she aced every class she had. She wanted to prove something to the world, that she was worth more than what she got in life. Sean Barron was my piano instructor for almost a year and a half. In a year and a half, I learned more about music than I had in the past 5. I sought him out after a tough lesson with my previous instructor, who had long run out of things to teach me. I wanted to advance in my piano playing where I had stagnated for years. I walked into the piano lab and introduced myself, and walked out 10 minutes later with a business card. I took private lessons with him that summer, and immediately knew he was the perfect teacher. He was an inverse of me in many ways, organized, reserved, and deliberate. Like me, he loved music. That was all he needed to help me flourish. When school started, he fought to get me private lessons with him for free at school rather than private paid ones. He fought for that because he saw something in me. A lot of people tell me I have potential, but rarely do they tell me how to achieve. Mr. Barron showed me how to achieve. When Emma passed, it felt like time started to slip away. I thought that it was fake. I read every article about the crash, looking for any semblance of hope. Until it were made true. It didn't even occur to me that I hadn't cried until 3 days later. I was so wrapped up in the details of her death that I distracted myself from her actual absence. That weekend, I heard a shout from downstairs. My mother held my shoulders as she told me that Mr. Barron was hit by a car in Portland and had died. It felt odd to me that I cried then and there, not just for him, but for Emma too. That long summer, I shut myself in. I developed a fear of driving and mended lanes to learn. I quit looking for a job because I didn't want people to see me. It took me months, as well as the beginning of school, to begin healing. I met people who shared their memories of him, receiving sympathies of my own, and I realized that I was not the only one grieving. At some point, nostalgia becomes a currency in the process of collective grief. At the end of the road, though, there is peace. My peace came with this, peace. I channeled my creative energy into detailing my journey with grief within every section of this piece. As for the music itself, there's not much to be said other than to feel it for how it is, simply feel what it feels. What set Emma and Mr. Barrett apart is that they saw something in me. They saw that I was worth their time. They saw that I could be great. Through my compositions, I will prove to the world myself. I will prove to the world their impact on my life. For them, I will be great.
That was Sam at his polished, at his final version of that piece he was working on. And for a second ending, we wanted to play an improv piece by Sam as well. As people have talked about, Sam spent a lot of time just noodling on the piano, and it was really beautiful, magnificent stuff. So we're gonna play one final thing that he had sent to Bryson, that Bryson allowed us to share with everyone here, because I feel like it's very special to see Sam at his most intimate in delivering music. But before we play that, I just want to say after this and during this piece, feel free to walk out to the atrium out here. We have some light refreshments and snacks, and my father and Rachel will be back at the back table where all the pictures of Sam are to receive people. And again, they do want to hear your stories and hear your laughter and see your smiles. So don't be shy to say hi. So that's how things are going to proceed from here. Thank you so much for coming. It's tough to end. Tough to wrap up. Thank you again.